It is really nice to be up here to talk about school finance today and not be on the ballot. To start off by that, and also by thanking all of you for your support for our district, because everything you're seeing up here and everything Chris and Dave are talking about isn't possible without the support of our community, with financial resources and just the support from your children. And we certainly appreciate that. And it has led into, because we are not on the ballot right now, but it has led to the next financial challenge for our district, or the next topic that we're looking at right now, and something you've all seen in the papers over the last couple weeks, because this is big throughout the state, and that is the state budget right now. And that, of course, is a topic for us every 2 years, because this is always what is going to happen to the school funding formula. This is the time right now where we're actually seeing a change in the school funding formula. We have not seen that in 10 plus years. Well, actually probably about 4 years ago when Governor Strickland proposed a new formula, but the funding wasn't there at the time. But this goes back to 1997 right now, when school funding in Ohio was ruled unconstitutional. There have been attempts, some small, some bigger, to change the way schools are funded. This is an attempt this year with changing the school funding formula. And as we look at the tentative state budget as it stands today, for the first time in, I'm guessing, 15 years for our district, we're looking at an actual increase in state funding over the next 2 years, if that holds. And there's some things that go along with that. But just to give you an idea of what we're looking at today, and that's as of March 15th when I say that, but right now we're looking at about a $2.9 million increase in state funding for next year, with an additional $1.1 million the year after. And that is big for us, because again, we have not seen an increase in the last 10 to 15 years, and that's with adding thousands of new students. There has not been, we've seen our state funding decrease from what was once $16, $17 million a year to right now we're around $11 million a year, and we didn't know where that was going to go. Again, I said tentative with this, because if you've seen the papers over the last couple days, not everybody's happy with this plan. When the governor introduced the plan, it was no school district will see less money next year than they saw this year. Well, it's kind of turning out that might not be the case for all districts. And when you look at all 611 or 613 school districts in the state, almost 400 of those 600 are not getting an increase at all next year. So there's a lot of folks who are not very pleased with that. And kind of we're in the same position we've been in the last several years, where it wasn't just a matter of holding our funding. We would have been thrilled with that. It was actually seeing a decrease. So what we're looking at is there will be a substitute House bill introduced in April, and we don't know how that's going to be affected by the complaints with the current proposal as it stands right now, because there are so many districts not seeing an increase, many poorer districts. But as I talked about this morning with Tim for just a second, many of those districts that are seeing no increase also are seeing flat enrollment or decreases in enrollment. So there's a reason with the new funding formula. The new funding formula shouldn't just cap it for almost 2/3 of the district as it does now. That's one of the main problems that's out there. So we are watching this. Right now it's going in our favor. And we are advocating, we work very closely with our area legislators, State Senator Jim Hughes and Representative Duffy. But just so you know, when working with them, we are giving input to them, and they in turn give input back to us as far as what's being introduced, so we aren't surprised and can react to it then. On top of just the basic state aid increases that we're looking at, there are some things in the new budget that are exciting for our district financially. Innovation grants, it's something they're calling the Straight Aid Fund. $300 million that will be available to school districts in the state for innovative programs. And we do a lot of innovative programs in our district. So these are grants and money that will be available for us to apply for to help subsidize some of the programs we already have in place. Things that are new, things that are a little different, things that we have to do that we can get some funding for. So that's very good news. And also some security dollars, we threw that in. That is in the plan too. Not a lot for the state. It's about $8 million for the state. Not really anticipating we'll see any of that. That dollar amount is very small when you look at the big picture. But there is some funding for other school districts is what it's going to turn out to be. Yeah. So what does this all mean for us? Well, just talking about the financial picture for our district right now, with the successful passage of the operating levy in November, it's good for us right now. Our goal is to try to help stretch this levy as long as we can, because we don't like levies, just like everybody else. And any kind of state funding increases are going to help us do that. One thing I did leave out, the tangible personal property tax, which you've heard us talk about a lot, that was phased out and accelerated the phase out. And we went from $10 million, receiving $10 million a year, to $4 million. We assumed that was going to go away in the next budget, and it's not as of right now. We're going to continue to receive that $4 million. That's a good thing for us because we can plug that back into our budget. But things like that will help our district and will help us stretch these funds out. Just so you know, when that levy passed in November, we did not open the floodgates for spending in our district. Those cuts that had been done prior, they're remaining right now. And we are watching spending. And I always invite you, we have our monthly financial statements are on our webpage. You can go out and look every month where we are, where we thought we'd be, and where we actually are. And when you go out and look at those now, you're going to see we're spending less than we thought we would this year. Again, there's been no additional spending or anything like that. Also lets you know where our revenues are to date. As well as our 5-year forecast is out there too, so if you want to see where we're going to be and where we think we're going to be, you can do that as well as the annual financial reports, 100 and some pages. If you have some time, want to go out and look. The last 11 years are out there, so you can go out and take a look and compare that. So we try to be as transparent as we can be with the financial information that we have. But things are looking a little better right now, but we'll continue to watch this. The new budget has to be in place by July 1st. The House will go through the House by the end of April so that the Senate can have it to discuss and deliberate in May. And then if there's a conference committee needed to kind of reconcile the two versions, they will do that in June then. So gives you a little idea on the funding for the district.